And to even be able to tap into that, you need to have a strong source with self and spirit. So like you ask like about my fast and me getting closer to God, it's like, yeah, because that equation plus me meeting artists and me touching into something that's within them allows us to create something visual. If it's a brand logo, if it's a video, if it's a photo, that's something that when you see it, it's like amazing visual because it's pulled from somewhere that's like intangible. That's what I deal with. I deal with just the visual aspect of things. Creative person.
Today we have a very special guest. His hometown is Charlotte, North Carolina, just like me. He also hails from Ghana, West Africa. I like to refer to him as a track star, but he developed into his artistic pursuits. Now it's time to catch up with him and see what his life entails. Without further ado, I want to welcome Katie Young to the Friend Zone. What's going on?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I am post-workout, mid-fast, like first meal of the day, so I'm a bit delirious. So hopefully you're getting, the best answers. You're gonna get some crazy answers, I hope, But I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
No, definitely. I know we just caught up recently and you told me how you try to run consistently about every single day, but I didn't know you also fasted.
Yeah.
What are the health benefits you experienced from that?
It's more about the spiritual benefits. I feel like it's like a cleanse for me and an opportunity to get directly closer to like God in my life. Like I'm a super spiritual person. Um, this fast specifically is also just like showed me like control because I'm running on a limited tank, I'm very intentional about like what I do, how much I talk, how much I expend my energy. So like it's been an experience. I love it, and I feel like I'm closer to God in this moment. So yeah, thank God for that, right?
No, for sure. No, that's beautifully said. So you haven't ate yet, is that correct?
Nah, man, I have not eaten. I
Okay.
am out here.
Okay. So we're not gonna hold you up too long. We're
That's
gonna make
cool.
sure
Cool.
that you get your nutrition in after this. But it's good to see that you're doing it for not just the physical purposes, but more so, or more or less, the spiritual purpose.
For sure.
And you're kind of landing onto something that connected both of us. Of course, your father's a pastor. I met you at his church when my family was attending it in Charlotte. And, we're both from Charlotte. I kind of wanted to start off from there. How was your time growing up in Charlotte from what you recall?
Charlotte was amazing. I definitely feel like I maybe took it for granted while I was there because it's so different being from somewhere that's not like as fast paced as where I'm at right now. Like I feel like the majority of like where the places I visit now are so like in the vein of like the mainstream, while Charlotte is like adjacent to it, at least when I was growing up. And so the people you meet there, the lifestyle you live, the pace you're able to live your life at is completely different. So I love Charlotte. I was outside, I was having fun. It's a place where like, you know, it's very typical of like very like I live in a suburban like neighborhood, like super like TV movie, kid that lives on the block with a bunch of other kids, goes to school down the street, stuff like that. So I love Charlotte. Charlotte's amazing.
Yeah. No, from what I recall, you lived on the south side of Charlotte, which to me is completely
There,
different from where I lived on
the
the north
four.
side of Charlotte. I
Mm-hmm.
went to Mallard Creek High School. I believe you went to Olympic. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Mallard
Now
Creek was so
you,
fire.
yeah, we were good at football. I
Right.
think Olympic had a few good sports teams during my time
Mm-hmm.
too. You were involved in athletics yourself. How was that experience running track during high school?
It was dope. I feel like track was like the first time that like, oh, like people saw potential in me. Um, and it was very competitive. It's like an individual sport, but I was kind of like running off a natural talent. So like, no pun intended, but pun intended at the same time. I was running off of natural talent. So like it was fun. It was a great experience. Met a lot of my friends that I still have now there. It shaped me to the person I was. That was the first time I had adversity that like I felt like could really like really change the trajectory of my life. Like, oh, it's something on my life is riding on this, like going to college, or if I'm really good at this, I could go different places with this and run and like the Olympics and stuff like that. Like those ideas were not, those are the first time like at what I've been running track since I was like 14 or 13. Those ideas weren't possible before then, but or even in my mind. So running track in Charlotte was definitely like my first go at like seeing different people and putting myself to the test of being great. So yeah, that was my experience in track. I loved it.
No, that's wonderful. When I look back at my high school career, one thing I regret not doing was trying out for the track team. But I mean, altogether, it would have been difficult because unlike your parents, from my understanding, they encourage you to be active in sports and also do academically. My parents were just all about the books. So if I, started to slip up with my grades, I'm pretty sure my dad or mom would have tried to withdraw me from the track team. So I wish we had more parents, coming from Africa that had more of that mindset that, hey, you can make a living, you can still be successful while pursuing passions outside of academics.
No, for sure. Let me plug my parents in real quick. Like my parents are super dope, like super, 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 super fire. What's crazy is I didn't realize that till I got older that like my parents are literally just like me. Like they live in a separate reality. Like I know we all on Earth and we're all living and stuff, but my parents are like kids. Like my mom collects clothes and cool toys and stuff like that on a regular basis. My dad is a graphic designer. Like today, I was just on the phone with him, like maybe 30 minutes before this. We were talking about Chat GPT and AI and how that stuff's crazy. Like my dad is in Adobe Illustrator all day in Photoshop, designing stuff. So like it wasn't until I got older that like, oh, like my parents are literally like hippies in a sense. Like they're both from Africa, but they don't care about anything that's going on except the stuff that like they like and love. And so for me, it wasn't until I got into the real world, I'm like, oh, people's parents aren't like this. Like, this is not the normal thing where your parent is like encouraging you and helping you do all the creative and wild things that you want to do in life. So shout out to my peoples, man. They're dope.
Nah, for sure. Yeah, I've definitely can attest to that. Meeting both of your parents at your father's church, and I think some of your creative juices definitely lent for them, and they kind of got you started in that more artistic space at the
Mm-hmm.
church. You started off, playing the drums. What was that experience like, and did it influence, kind of what you're doing today?
Yeah, dang, it's crazy. I forget you know all this stuff about me. Like, this is like the part of my life that people don't ask about because they just don't know like it happened.
Yeah.
But playing the drums is cool. Like growing up, my brother played the drums, my dad played the drums, so I had to play the drums, and it was always like a church thing.
Hmm.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, but it was fun. It was intimidating. It felt like a chore. I didn't really like. I enjoyed it, but like as a kid, you also don't want to go to choir practice and like you don't want to waste your time like drumming on Sundays. You rather just be chilling and stuff like that. But it has influenced my life now because a lot of my life and a lot of things I do is influenced by music. And so I feel like me being in those areas where like I was either, adding to sound or learning about like where I could add myself to the sound of music, and especially listening to gospel, which is like an amalgamation of all sounds put into one. Just beautiful music. Like I don't know who said this, but they were like, if you grew up on like church music, dude, like you have all the sounds in your ear. Like you it's everything into one. So for me, I feel like it has enhanced my way of hearing music, understanding music, and loving music because like I can hear it from a perspective of somebody who's done it before. So yeah, drumming was an experience. And now I look back, I'm so thankful that I did all those things. And it kept me out of like trouble. Like it's kind of shaped the person I was. And I had things to do on Saturday. I had things to do on Friday. I had things to do on Sunday, on Saturday and Sunday. So I'm thankful because I wasn't even introduced to all the other things kids could be doing with their free time if it wasn't artistic or it wasn't creative or wasn't adding to like the church So it's building my heart up at the same time, giving my time up to other people and making something beautiful out of it. So like now that I'm older, I don't have a knack for a lot of frivolous things that might, be harmful to my life because I really escape them like from like it's playing drums all the time.
Yeah, no, that's shows like, something that turned from a burden, turned like transition into a blessing for you.
For sure.
And now I'm even wondering, kind of want to go a little bit deeper
Go ahead.
because we always hear a negative stereotype about pastors' daughters. Like, I don't want to say that stereotype, but no one asks about being, a pastor's son,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of interested in your perspective. I know you've talked a little bit about what your pastor does in his day to
Mm-hmm.
day, but in your shoes, how was it like growing up in his household as a son?
So of course, like my parents still cared about like the image of like a pastor because obviously they're trying to help people and stuff like that. My parents will soon realize that I do not give a fuck about any of that. Like I had free forms in school, I had free forms at church, everybody hated them. I dress differently, I talk different, I do whatever I want. Like I've been like this since I was young. So like it'll always be an argument with my family and my parents, but it's like I don't care. Like people's opinions, like the church kid or church, that's like somebody else's interpretation of what I should be. And that's never worked. It will never work. Like who you think I should be would just not work. I'm going to work hard to make your life hard because I know it bothers you. So like my parents just had to let me do what I do. Like I'm just be myself. Like when I was younger, obviously I had to like wear certain clothes and stuff like that. But as I got older, I'm like, bro, I do not care about that. First of all, like church has nothing to do with like the physical. It has nothing to do with that. It all has to do with the heart and the spirit and the soul and presenting yourself up to God as best as possible. And so like I stood for that. And my parents either had to get in on the road with me or like leave me on the side of the road. Like it's one or the other. So I think we came to a middle ground in that, but it was cool. Like my parents are normal. So like, yeah, I think like being a pastor is like, okay, you're helping people, you're guiding people, you're being there for people, but that's like regular human shit. Like they're not like doing this crazy, like they're just helping people and being there for people. So when they're home, they're not changing up. They're just regular humans who like to help people. So it was cool. My house was dope. Played video games all the time, went out all the time, hung out with friends. Like my parents don't be like judging my friends, none of that. Like they're normal people. But at church, like I know in the sense where they're helping people, they have to be a little bit more direct. And I let them rock out and they let me rock out. So it was cool, you know. Tell my dad when he like when I was like, oh yeah, like he was speaking that, he was talking that talk today, man. You using your bag. Like let my dad know that, talk to my mom about it. It's cool. The only thing is like waking up early. My parents have made a lot of sacrifices. I know like a couple years ago, I went home for Christmas break and my whole family was crying, like together, just thinking about all the memories. It always makes me cry right now because it's like, bro, people don't know how many sacrifices my family's made for them. Like, there was a time where our church was in Greensboro, which is like an hour and a half away. I'd have to wake up at 5 in the morning, like wake up, we would drive all the way there. My dad would preach and then would come right back because we had school in the morning in Charlotte. And, and of course, all the things that go on with church and stuff like that. Nobody knew how my parents feel. They have to wake up all three of their kids, take away their weekends to go help people. And we didn't have a car sometimes. We didn't have AC sometimes. And my parents showed up every single time for people. And of course, they weren't perfect, but my family feels that sacrifice different from anybody else because people weren't there. Like, you don't know how hard it is to do that for years at a time. And all we're trying to do is help people, which is crazy. Like, my parents' heart is so massive that they were making major sacrifices with their kids, their family for other people. And so now, like, I can make sacrifices for people and they don't know how I do it. And it's like, bro, like, I've been through places and seen my parents and we've done things for people that, like, is amazing. And so I'm able to hold a lot of things on my shoulder. And I'm thankful for that's the best part of being about being a pastor's kid. You get to see what it looks like when somebody's like really genuinely trying to put their heart down. Like it's not about the money, it's not about anything else. It's like, bro, like what makes a person do this for this long? And it's like they have this love for people and wanted to help. So that's my perspective on the pastor's kid. It's like it's a whole different life, like for real. So yeah.
Man, I mean, I'm learning a lot about you right now. I never knew that the church started in Greensboro. You know, that's where I'm at.
Mm,
So I understand what you're saying.
mm.
Like for me to get back home, it's maybe just over an hour, but to get to South Charlotte, yeah, that's an hour and a half, easy.
Every weekend for years.
Every every single weekend.
Like forget
It's
parties,
wild.
forget all that movies, all that stuff. It's like, oh, we gotta go to bed early because we gotta wake up, you know. But yeah,
Yeah. No, that's, I mean, it shows that that's part of, I guess your parents, their purpose in life, their duty.
right,
That's why they stay disciplined with that.
right.
But you also mentioned that, you know, you have your own purpose, you have your own passions, and maybe the way that the church wanted you to be is not how you should be known. How do you think you should be known? How do you think people see you?
How do I think people see me? That's a great question. I feel like people feel like I'm outside of the lines. Like I draw outside the lines. I'm wild, um, super creative, um, probably super disciplined. I just I was having dinner with a friend the other day. She was like, "You used to be so cold." And sometimes I could be like that, not on purpose, but um, I think that's how people perceive me. And you know, that's the bulk of what they probably know. But I'm also a very private person, so like I'm not out here flaunting, like, you know what I'm saying, like, this is me, this is all I am at all times. Do I wake up and or like I feel or have something in my mind, I'm gonna say it and I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna just keep it pushing, you know what I'm saying, like, and I feel like that's how people perceive me. That's the best I can give you as far as that answer.
Yeah, yeah. And ultimately, what do you want people to know about you? Like if like today was your last day on earth, how do you think people should remember you? Because it seems like you're more than just that church boy. You're more than just that track
Oh yeah, for sure.
athlete. You know.
Yeah, I was just talking to my dad, like I said, like 30 minutes ago, and he asked me about like my month. And I had a crazy wild month of just like traveling and work and business and stuff like that. Great month, thank God, right? But I talked about how like a lot of the rooms I go into, like there's a lot of self-validating in the room. Like every people are like it's like almost like a pissing contest sometimes. Um, and I'm not a fan of that. Even when people ask like, how are you doing, how you been, I just went back to Howard last week and I met with some professors and they're like, how's life and everything, and I told my dad like the best thing I want to tell people is like, I'm good, I'm healthy, I'm happy. I don't want to self-validate with the accomplishments that I've done, because I feel like that's where the conversation goes, like, how you been? Oh yeah, I got a new house and like a BMW, and yeah, I did a collaboration with this brand and da 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 da, and I'm like, that had none of that told me how you're doing. So like for me, I want people to know, like, people to think of me like he showed up. He was loving when I asked things of him or when I needed him. He was there for me. He's caring. He has a lot of space for people to feel okay to be themselves. Like he allowed that for people. He was helpful, wise, funny, stuff like that. I don't want it to be any of that other stuff because it's like that's not me. Those are the things. Yeah, I mean they're part of me, but like let's talk about like my spirit and soul, the thing that can't be touched with these physical things. You can't attach it to those physical things. So that's what I want to be remembered by, man. Like, you know, being there and being loving for people, just like my parents.
Man, that KD Young or that young family spirit definitely holds true with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm loving it. See it. Getting to talk to you right now. Getting to catch up with you recently about it. I can definitely see it. Still bleeds through your veins.
Yeah, for
Want
sure.
to, yeah. I want to now like pivot a little bit into your music passion, your artistic passions, and I think for me, where I started to see that like you were into the arts was when you started doing music reviews on YouTube. I don't know if you remember
Oh
those
my
days, but
God. No, you're
yeah.
like Nardwar right now. That's crazy.
I'm not trying to expose you, but yeah, bro, I remember the come up. Like you were doing music reviews on YouTube, and now I can see like how that's transitioned into what you do now. But I think only you can explain that. Like what started with the what got you into music reviews, and I guess how did that transition into what you're doing now?
It's crazy you even bring that up. I know people don't even know that. They haven't been my journey this
Hmm.
long. I have them all on my YouTube. They just private it. One day I will let them all go, but they're all there. It
Hmm.
started way before that though. I remember when I was super, super young, elementary school for sure. I asked my parents for a camera to record stuff. I used to burn videos together on CDs and show my family, put together stuff on like Windows computer. I've always just been always like technologically like savvy and just always been on the internet. So it always started there, and then it translated into other like different things. So I'm a big, I don't know if it's like cool to even say this now, Kanye West fan. Since I was like in the fifth grade, like I've been listening. Shout out to my older brother who probably had an iPod or whatever. I just found it, and it just made me feel very. All that music makes you feel very confident in yourself. So as I'm like doing my own thing, this started where like I'm in high school talking to my dad about the ideas that I have and like how I have ideas for Snapchat and I have ideas for Instagram and I have ideas for, like a perspective, and I start painting and making clothes and stuff like that. The YouTube stuff actually really happened when I was dating this girl in high school and she was into YouTube a lot. So we started making YouTube videos together and stuff like that. So the YouTube started happening there, but I was making videos before that, like a lot of poetic, like I'll do poetry voiceovers with videos, free videos online, and it was all in high school. Um, and then at some point it was just me saying I want to do like podcasts, and this is way before any of this was like fire. My friend texted our group chat the other week, like a month or maybe 2, 3 months ago, was like, Katie was like Kai Cenat before Kai Cenat was Kai Cenat. Like I was literally on the internet showing, nobody was even doing that. I was just showing my life, like videotaping it and just putting it on the internet. So I remember I got back to school in college, and my friends are asking like what happened to like the YouTube stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have the time for it because I was in school. But what that showed me was that it just translated into something else, like the photography and the videography. I really think about it now. Like if I would have kept going that YouTube thing, imagine how massive I'd probably be right now. But it's cool because it still turned into something even bigger. And so I'm so thankful for those moments. But it all came from that like confidence that like the music I was listening to back in the day, like Kanye, a lot of Drake, um, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, who else? When I was in high school, obviously like Lil Yachty, Cardi, Uzi, all that stuff influenced my music. It's all like I love like rock star vibes, like music that's just very confidence inducing. Like when they talk about confidence, it just gets me going. And like I just named all the people who like they're pushing that all the way to the forefront because I'm a very confident person. So it's hard to be in a world where like people don't have that level of confidence. And so like to hear from other people, it makes me feel like, oh, I could definitely do this. So like the music is like that battery in my back to keep like creating and stuff.
Man, the Kai Cenat before the Kai Cenat came onto the scene. That's a wild take, but very
Hey man,
impressive one to be known by.
you know what I'm
Um,
saying?
yeah, no, for sure. Now, when you moved from Charlotte, you started college in DC. You went to one of the most prestigious HBCUs, Howard University.
Nah,
How did you, start with that? Or how was your transition to Howard and pursuing your artistic pursuits there too?
so like we said before, born in Ghana, raised in Charlotte. My parents wanted me to go to a great school. My sister went to Princeton, so like that was like the bar. And so it was just like you got to get into good school. That African thing is still there now. Like the education is still there. So I was still great in school, amazing in school. But to be completely honest, I didn't know much about Howard before I went there. I was like completely being African in America, you live two different cultures. So like you're living in America and you have like the American side because you're like a black kid in America, but then you have that you might go home or you might go to church or you might be around family friends, and it's a completely African culture. So it's like two experiences at the same exact time. And people don't know that in your head, you're seeing two different things. So like um when it came to colleges and stuff, I knew all the great colleges, but I didn't know much about HBCUs because I'm not an Black American. So like that's something that's regular to Black Americans, but that my African side kind of just said go to a really good school. So I didn't know nothing about Howard. I went to a tour and everything. I was like, the school looks cool, the city looks cool. Didn't know nothing about DC. I'm gonna go here. So I just went, and I went for the experience. Like I tell everybody, I went to Howard for the experience. I wanted to see. I'm like, something about me is like this cosmopolitan feel where it's like I just want to experience everything. Like I just want to go feel it out for myself. So everybody asks like, why did you come to Howard? Or why did you do it? You don't seem like you would be. I'm like, yeah, I'm here to like meet people and vibe out and see where it goes. Like, I don't have this great idea of where I should be going or what I should be doing, but it seems fun, so I'll stay. And little did I know that that experience would change my life forever. There I met a lot of my good friends I still work with now. All my best friends I'm in a group chat with now, Cam, Price, Ty, Tahir, Kobe, Harrison, like all the people I still I'm super tight with, I met at Howard. And that's where a lot of my creativity started to flourish because I came in already having all this YouTube stuff. I had merch, I had a brand, and I was very different. I looked different, I dressed different. I'm just so me. So I remember one day I had all my friends wear my clothes in front of like the cafeteria. You know what I'm saying? Like where there's an influx of people at 12. You know, everybody's going to the caf, vibes, Friday. And I was recording all of it on my phone. I had my friends just stand there for hours in all matching. And of course, people are like, why are they wearing this? All my friends are the cool kids. So it's like, everybody's like, oh, can I get one? What is this? What's going on? And I had that video on my YouTube. Like, back then I didn't know I was making these vlogs and videos, but like, I was still doing that. I recorded, there's 8 videos on a private account on YouTube of me and my friends living in our dorm room freshman year. People don't even know it exists. I have 8 videos. And I was vlogging then, but like, I still didn't realize like, oh, like now fast forward, this is my life. Like I really do that and I get paid for it. And I was doing it back then. So it expanded to that. Even me and Price, like, or Harrison and my friend Tay, we would like, I was just telling my dad, we would just go to New York, like skip school and go to New York for Fashion Week for 2 days. Or my friend Kane, we would just go to New York, or me and Price would go to Complex Con in LA. Like we had a partnership at 21 with Puma. Like literally, I'm in Atlanta. My friend Puma hits us both up like, "Yo, we want to get you a deal in partnership with us." We're like little kids. I was telling my dad, like, people don't know how long this journey has been. Like, I've literally been outside since I was like 18, 19, like traveling. You know how like some people at our age right now are now getting their first apartment and now like laying their head somewhere else away from their family. You know, my family's like, all right, like, catch you later in 2 weeks. I'm 18, walking out the door. Hey, I don't know where my son is right now. You just like in another state. He's riding a bus. Like I used to have to like when I was in Howard or going to New York or something, I would tuck my laptop in my shirt because I was so scared that if I go to sleep, somebody steal my stuff. Like I'm like at Howard riding a bus to Atlanta with random people, riding a train. Every 3 days I'm in Atlanta, like laying my head in different places. And I'm thinking like, how did my parents know what's going on right now? You know, and so this journey's been long, but going to Howard exposed it all. And I just started like I just started going, all the things from my childhood, the camera, the recordings, the videos, the music, it all started to merge into one lane. And I just like went. So that's the culmination of Howard right there.
Yeah. No, I think your parents would have been scared if they knew everything that was going on.
Yeah, man. I was
We
out
know
here
how African
getting
parents
it.
are.
Right. Like, but thank God, man, that they even, I was like, wow, why would they let their kid just go out to go chase his dreams at that young of an age? Like, but yeah, so I'm very tenured around these parts.
No, that's wonderfully said. And I just want to hit on something you just mentioned about staying in your lane and just like going for it. It kind of relates to where you all started, you know, as a track athlete. You know, you still have people around you that you're racing with or going along the course with, your friends, your peers, maybe your mentors. But at the end of the day, you're paving your own path. You're staying in that lane to get to that finish line. So it's good to see that Howard helped you start that. Would you say like you were able to also merge your African culture with your Black American culture? Because let's be honest, here in the States, they're going to look at you as an African American.
That is a very good question. Yes, but not like 100% yes, like a 60% yes.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that like when I went to Howard, when I say like I'm African, because at Howard like was my first time seeing like, oh, like black, it comes in so many different flavors. Like there's like a black person who lives in Colorado and a black person who lives in California and a black person who lives in Texas. Like I'd never seen that. I didn't know like we come in like black is so many shades and vibes and colors, and like that was an awakening for sure. And so like my thing is I'm the African black. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody might have some other version of it, but mine is that experience, and people want to know about that. I met a lot of other people who are half African, half black, or full African, and da da da. I'm like, oh, this is like a melting pot of like the different flavors of black. So I'm going to class, and I was just telling my dad this is crazy, but I met my professor a week ago when I went back to DC, and she was talking about how she would call on me when we were talking about like cultural differences and stuff. So she would like all the like African American black kids in the class answer questions, and then she would ask me specifically to answer the same question from an African standpoint. And she literally brought it up. Like we just talked about it, and I was like, it's so crazy that like I'm so glad that I was telling my little sister that when I sit at a table, I'm oh, I'm so sorry. My mom's calling me. Let me decline it real quick. Call you
You're good.
back. But I'm so glad that when I sit at a table, my perspective is a necessary one now. You know, we're in a global mindset now. Trust me, I was there when it was African back scratcher or booty scratcher. Like I was there for all those jokes. Like I remember when being dark skinned was the worst thing you could be growing up. I remember even me, you know, having to lie about where I'm from and stuff like that because it was uncomfortable just, you know, being in America. But now that it's on a global scale, like I feel like the voice is just loud. Like our perspective is necessary for that global love to happen, that link in that chain. And everybody needs African on their team, bro. It's necessary. I think the drive we have as Africans is different. It's different, like because we come from like just like wanting more. So like we're willing to like do things like superhuman level things that a person might be like, how are they able to? And it's like as soon as you ask me that, I'm African. We're different. We just built different, you know. So I was able to, in that sense, I felt like very concrete in who I am. Like, wow, there's a space for me to exist and be myself fully and not hide that. Now, like I'm having my friends eat jollof rice, you know what I'm saying? They're coming to me for I'm the one that's like, when you come to me, I can give you another perspective. You know what I'm saying? So amazing. But yeah.
Nah, it's great to see that you still have stayed true to your roots.
Got
I'm also
to.
glad that you didn't say that us as Africans we come from nothing, but we come with the mindset of wanting more. Because a lot of
More.
people like they come from nothing. I think that's where some of
Yeah.
those stereotypes come from. But no,
Mm,
we're just always
yeah.
striving to be better.
Yeah. I think we
Um,
seize opportunities. Like that's
yeah,
something that even back home we would do, regardless of anybody else. Like like if you look at Africa in its sense, it's just like it's built up of seized opportunities. And being in America, that alone is their opportunity. So we seize it. It's just like that's what I mean by wanting more. We just like we see openings and we take advantage of them completely. You know, you can always tell
no
when an African
facts.
person has been in the room.
No facts, facts. I've had people tell me that I'm different, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like I feel like for most people when they initially see me, oh, he's another Black American. But once they get to know me, it's like there's something different about him for whatever reason. Of course, I think it all relates back to how I was brought up. There's still that African mentality in me, even though I've been fully ingrained in American culture.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. One thing I also wanted to talk about is, you kind of hinting at this. Your parents wanted you to do the best, knowing that your sister, she went to Princeton, and they wanted y'all to be successful. A lot of times when Africans think about success, it's usually pursuing one of these three careers: a lawyer, engineer, or a doctor. Man, how did you? I know. Well, you've talked about becoming an artist and stay in your own lane. But what advice would you have for other people who are maybe in a similar situation, but the parents may not be as supportive as yours?
That's a good question. Golly, you're like swinging out the park with these. It's crazy. Um, So at first I wanted to be a forensic pathologist. So it was the doctor lane. Trust me, like I went there. But I liked literally forensics. Like I love like, dead bodies, cadavers, stuff like that, looking for evidence and stuff like that. So I found a lane even in that to make it my own, right? And then I'm like, bro, I am not trying to be in school till I'm like 30, bro. It's just not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So I just wasn't with it. But I'd say that's the first fight. You will have to fight in general, not to be heard, but as an artist, you are fighting against what is the norm. So you have to get used to the uncomfortability, that abrasive side of the world, because that's what's going to be until you find your tribe, right? And so that's the first fight. Well, I fought my parents left and right, not verbally, but like, I'm wearing this, I'm doing this, I'm saying this, I'm my hair is going to look like this, I'm going to wake up and do this, like. But what I really did was I built that trust as well. My parents was like, oh no, he really wants to do this. He's doing it. In my free time, I was doing it. I wasn't just talk. I showed them. Like, that's what you have to do. To win the fight against the world, you have to show them. And that's just how it is. So my parents, although they're artists as well, I'm sure they were scared. I remember when I told my parents I wanted to do it, they were like, oh yeah, we knew you. We could tell already since you were young. Like, I've always been painting and drawing since I was a kid. But my dad was like, he was scared to put me in that position because of what he went through. And I'm like, oh, no, like, I'm down to die about this. You start saying stuff like that where it's like, okay, like, you might as well back him now because he's not slowing up. He's just not going. So that's my advice, is like, you have to, one, show that you're serious. Like, everybody says they want to do something creative, and then they spend their time napping. They spend their time playing video games. They spend their time hanging out with friends. You want your parents to believe in you with no evidence. That's unfair. And then we say our parents are mean or don't believe in us. What are they believing in? You gotta give them something to believe in. So like, that's give people something to believe in. Then they'll start to say, maybe he doesn't need to be a doctor, engineer, or lawyer. This looks like something, because there's proof, there's evidence. And I hate to say it, but like, all that talk and chatter, nobody wants to hear it. You gotta start doing something. It doesn't matter if it's ass, if it's great. You have to show that you want to do it. And then your parents will say, you know what? I'm gonna support it. And even if they don't, eventually they'll come around. You end up winning everybody over, by the way, as long as you show and prove. So that's my advice. Don't give up. Don't give up. Your parents are not supposed to, nobody's supposed to believe in that. Only you see it in here. Nobody's supposed to believe in it. I think we're too optimistic to think like everybody should believe in me and what I want to do with my life, but only you see it here. So until it becomes something that people can see or believe, then it really doesn't mean much. So that's my advice, bro. Show them. Show them. You really want to do it? Show them. Cut out all the other bullshit and show them. You know?
Man, that's well said. That's well said. I mean, anything you do in life, you got to have that confidence.
Got
and
to.
I know that this is an overused statement or verse in the Bible, but I think it's very applicable to a lot of situations. Faith without works is dead. You're not giving your parents anything to believe in. You're not doing anything. Why should I have that faith in you? Why would you even have faith in yourself if you're not doing anything to work towards your future? But
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I completely understand where you're coming from.
Nah, you just remixed that so far. That was crazy. That was so fire.
Hey
was
man,
fire.
I'm not even an artist, but I'm trying to spit a little bit today.
No, I feel you. You're in your bag right now.
Hey, trying to. But yeah, I know another thing that maybe the reason why your parents were apprehensive is because the state of art maybe back then and what it is today. I feel like a lot of schools are taking away the arts from their programs and not investing as much into the creative studies. And a lot of times when you go to college, you hear that, oh, if you pursue something in arts, you're not going to be able to have a career. Like, what's your perspective on that? Is art dying, or is it just not getting the attention that it should be getting?
That's a heavy question. I'm still gonna answer it
Mm,
with what my perspective today, which could change. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It's my answer for today.
yeah.
I think art is exactly where it needs to be.
Mm,
It's like it's that hidden door, that hidden social club that if you're really about it, it's free entry. And if you're not, you can't get in. So take art out of the schools, take art out of wherever and the curriculum and da da da. Real artists will find the door. Like you think we need school to find art? We're born with that. I don't need anybody to tell me if I should be creating or doing what I need to be doing or writing my own poetry and dancing, or you're gonna feel it. And then like, oh, like that's my golden ticket. It's like the Willy Wonka golden ticket. You'll find it. If you really want to find it, you'll find it. Like art is in the perfect spot. It's supposed to be hidden. It's supposed to feel like and everybody's art style is different. It's hard for me to even talk about like mainstream art, like or things we see in public, because that's also art form as well. But like the fact that we're not seeing maybe a lot of creativity, maybe you're not looking at the right places for it. Art is always visible. It's always alive. It's always thriving. It just depends on what lens you're looking at it from. And I love that. Like I try to make sure my mind, spirit, and soul is always in that realm of art, like seeing it as something beautiful. Art is all around us. The trees growing, the weather, rain, the sounds. It's natural. Art is everywhere. So like I was walking at the park like maybe last week or a week and a half ago, and I was looking at a tree and like seeing it grow out. I'm like, bro, that's beautiful. Like just the it's just come on, right? Art is everywhere. So real artists, it's a gift from God to be able to notice it and be invited into that social club where your eyes change forever and you see beauty in everything. So take it out of everything, make it more private, I guess. We're still in here having fun. So yeah.
man, there's a low cost of entry, but it's something that you have to really want to get into. That's what I'm hearing
Exactly.
right now.
Exactly.
Um, and I just wanted to also hear a little bit more about the type of art that you're working on today.
So I call myself like a visual architect, visual artist, stuff like that. But I say architect because at some points I'm not actually creating the art. I'm just envisioning it and laying out the blueprint. That's what really design is. It's laying out these blueprints and plans. Um, but I'm in video, I'm in photography, I'm in movie, I'm in production, I'm in creative directing, I'm in brand management, I'm in rebranding. I'm in all the things that are like almost front facing, but believe it or not, all the front facing things require somebody working on the back end, bringing that virality and spirit back like into something. So like what you see is visuals on like the things I create, but it's really in the behind the scenes, what makes that visual so appealing and amazing is the conversations I'm having with the artist or the music we're playing or the vibes we're catching, the lifestyle we're living, the things we're doing behind the scenes. And that's the secret. That's the actual secret. And to even be able to tap into that, you need to have a strong source with self and spirit. So like you ask like about my fast and me getting closer to God, it's like, yeah, because that equation plus me meeting artists and me touching into something that's within them allows us to create something visual. If it's a brand logo, if it's a video, if it's a photo, that's something that when you see it, it's like amazing visual because it's pulled from somewhere that's like intangible. So that's what I deal with just the visual aspect of things. Creative person.
Man, that's well said, bro. Like, kind of gives me the idea that art it's something that the artist makes it, and it's also similar to kind of like some of my computer science friends, what they talk about, that front end, back end. You need someone
Exactly.
who's going to implement that code that so that the users or maybe the client can actually understand how everything works
Oh
or
my
be able to
gosh,
use
you're
the application.
crushing. You're
Yeah,
crushing just like the recaps of my answers. That's crazy.
yeah,
That's a crazy
yeah.
analogy.
Nah, man. I mean, these tech savvy people, man. Once they start explaining things to me, I'm like, all right, just break it down, front and back end. Okay, I
Right.
can understand that. Don't once you get into the
Yeah.
code and everything, you
Yeah.
kind of lose me.
Yeah.
But
That was a great
no, that's well
analogy.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah. We only got a few minutes left here, KD. So I just want to wrap up on this note.
Yeah. What's
What
up? Talk to
legacy,
me.
man, do you want to leave with your art? I know you go in different directions. I recently just talked to a friend about visions, having multiple visions, but ultimately, like, what do you feel like your visions are lending to in your career?
I don't know, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm enjoying it day by day, going to the wherever God, the stream. I see it like a stream of life. Like I'm in the river, and wherever God leads me in that water, I just go and I do what I gotta do. I have recognized a pattern of it being always good for other people. It always has like an effect on other people in a good way. I'm always helping other people because I don't need it. God has blessed me enough to the point where I'm okay right now. So like I was just telling my dad, I spend a lot of my time making myself available for other people who might not be always okay with me or might need my assistance. But I don't know. I don't know where my legacy is going to leave. The book is, I leave that to other people to write, right? Right? I think so. Like other people can maybe put it together, but they're seeing it from the stands with binoculars so they can see the whole thing. I can't see that because I'm playing the game. It's just another game for me and I have to score. But if you're watching it from the crowd, maybe you could put together a better story of like my 82 game season and what that looked like. Was it mastery? Was I the MVP? I can't see it because if I can't think of that, I have to score. You know what I'm saying? Like while LeBron's playing basketball, he's not thinking about like, I wonder what my legacy looks like right at this moment. It's like, nah, bro, like there's 5 seconds on the clock. You better shoot that ball. Like, like I'm playing. So I would love to hear what other people think my legacy is going to be while watching me create and move into these different spaces. But I don't know. I'm just an artist just on my journey, bro. I feel nomadic in my art experience in the sense that like I don't have a home. I'm not staying one place. I come and I go. I walk around. I travel. I go try different things. That's my art experience. I'm nomadic in it. So who knows?
Hey, man, all I know is that the future is bright for you. And yes, whoever views your legacy at the end of the day, because really, like you said, that's all it's really about, how the people around you are gonna view you. Ultimately, you can't determine what that legacy is gonna be. But I see it as being just positive and similar to what your parents are pursuing and helping others. Um, yeah, bro. So the future is bright. I want to give you this moment if you have any last words for the people, this is the time.
For sure. None of this, none of it, none of it is even possible. The peace, the happiness, the love, the understanding, the empathy, the drive to keep going, the creative ideas, the concepts, the friendships, the school, the blessings from it, the everything, the lifestyle, all of it is impossible without God. So I have a project that's due literally supposed to come out today at like 5. I don't even know how I'm gonna finish it. But I went on my 3 mile walk because that's the time I spend with God every Saturday. Like I just walk and I just like meditate on just my life and the blessings and give gratitude. And I was thinking, like, if I don't care what is due, it's irrelevant if I don't give God the time that he deserves. It's irrelevant. My life is irrelevant without the time. It's God first, then blessings happen. You cannot work on the blessing and then put God in the back seat. That's not how it works. You put God first and then the blessings come. So I never, ever prioritize anything over God. It's impossible. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would I put the thing that's enhancing my life in the back seat and put my life in front of it? Huh? No, 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 no. So that's the only thing I leave up to people. Build a relationship with God and it'll get you through everything. Put him first and everything else will be first. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what I would like to leave with people.
Amen to that, brother. You take time out of your day connecting with God, enjoying his creation, his art, to influence your art, and ultimately you're staying in your lane. I want to thank you for coming onto this pod. This is Kojo, and this is
KD, I thought you were gonna name.
my fault. I should have primed you. But yes, this is Katie Young,
Yes,
and this is the
sir.
Friend Zone. Peace.
Yes. I love it. Catch you guys later.